Have you ever actually stopped and wondered, does literally everything in the universe have an innate, undeniable purpose? Like from the massive winds sweeping across the plains to a tiny child sitting at a dinner table, is there just some built-in knowledge that governs how things naturally work? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Welcome back to another Explainer. We're jumping right in to break down a fascinating piece of writing so we can truly understand the deeper mechanics at play behind it. Today, we are looking at a profoundly rhythmic, deeply contemplative poem titled Prudence is Energy Secure, written by Oluyomi Oladavid. On the surface, it reads like a series of simple, elegant observations about the world around us. But when we actually unpack her deeply structured insights, it reveals this absolutely fascinating framework about innate purpose and universal truth. We're going to break down her writing piece by piece to see exactly how she constructs this incredibly compelling argument. But hey, before we get into the text itself, let's talk about the architect behind it. Oluyomi Oladavid is a brilliant Nigerian thought leader, and her work spans all over the place: technical insights, policy briefs, and these deep contemplations like the one we're studying today. She describes herself as someone who genuinely loves people and is deeply, deeply concerned with global development and transformation. And honestly, this context is absolutely crucial because it tells us exactly why she writes. She isn't just throwing pretty words on a page. She is actively hunting for the fundamental blueprints of how our world operates. Now, what is truly fascinating here is her stated mission. She says, "I enjoy generating solutions, influencing policy or strategy, and providing clarity." She also notes that her father God owns and rules the universe, and she describes him as the wheel within her wheels. So this deep spiritual grounding completely informs the structure of her poetry. She views the universe as an intelligently ordered place, not just some random, chaotic void. And she uses this poem to provide exactly what she promises: complete, utter clarity. So how does she actually deliver that clarity? Well, she masterfully crafts this poem using a highly deliberate, totally consistent three-step formula for every single stanza. First, she introduces a core concept or virtue, like prudence or peace. Second, she describes its definitive, undeniable action. And finally, she grounds it with a metaphor, showing us that even the most basic, everyday elements possess this innate knowledge. This repetition is huge because it literally trains us to see a pattern in the universe. Let's look at how she pulls this off in the very first stanza. All right, she writes, "Prudence wastes no energy. Even parrots know how to be silent." Just let that sink in for a second. She brilliantly redefines prudence. It's not just about being careful, she says, it's the ultimate conservation of energy. And she illustrates this with the absolute perfect metaphor: a parrot. Parrots are famously the loudest mimics in the animal kingdom. Yet inherently, even the noisiest creature on Earth possesses this innate knowledge of when to just be quiet. And to really grasp what she's getting at here, we should honestly take a cue right from her metaphor. Think about what it feels like to just sit in pure, absolute silence. No noise, no distractions. In that total physical and auditory stillness, your energy is perfectly conserved. And to her, that right there, that is prudence. Notice how this concept builds as she shifts her focus. Next, she writes, "Insight buys no falsehood. Even children know how to eat." Here, she's linking this super high-level intellectual concept of insight to a primal, biological reality. Insight is the ability to see absolute truth and just totally reject lies. It buys no falsehood. And how natural is that supposed to be? Well, according to her, it's as undeniable and built in as the survival instinct of a newborn child knowing exactly how to feed. It doesn't require complex teaching, it's just innate. Then she turns her attention to time itself. History misses no post. Even aged know how to sing. Think about what this brilliantly illustrates. History acts as this absolute, flawless record keeper. It captures every milestone, every single post without fail. And she beautifully compares this to the elderly, the aged. Despite the heavy passage of time, or maybe even because of that immense wealth of experience, they intuitively retain the songs of their past. The rhythm of their history is permanently, inherently etched right into them. Next, we encounter her theme of peace. Peace loses no contest, even winds know how to blow. This is such a fascinating reframing of a concept we talk about all the time. We usually think of peace as passive, right? Maybe even a bit fragile or easily broken. But she confidently flips that and positions peace as the ultimate unstoppable victor. It literally loses no contest. And her proof? The wind. The wind doesn't have to struggle or fight to be the wind. Its force is effortless, natural, and completely undeniable. True peace carries that exact same undeniable momentum. If we kind of take a step back, we can really start to see her broader strategic vision for this text. She is seamlessly weaving back and forth between natural phenomena, like the winds blowing, and human nature, like children eating or the aged singing. She's doing this deliberately to prove a massive point. This undeniable innate purpose, it doesn't just exist in one isolated little bubble. It is an absolute rule that applies across every single facet of creation, spanning both us humans and the elements. From nature and humanity, she then takes us into the realm of human creation and industry. Builder leaves no stone, even concrete, know how to set. It's such a sharp, grounded observation. A true builder completes the task entirely. Literally no stone is left unplaced. And the crazy thing is, the materials themselves cooperate with this innate purpose. Concrete doesn't need to be consciously coaxed into solidifying, does it? Its very chemical makeup, its inherent knowledge, tells it exactly how to set and provide a firm, unyielding foundation. Okay, this next stanza takes a dramatic, highly socially conscious turn. Salvation leaves no poverty. Even oppressors know how to clean up. The crucial point here is this incredibly bold contrast she sets up. She asserts that true salvation is totally comprehensive. It completely eradicates poverty. But her metaphor is incredibly thought-provoking and honestly a bit startling. Even oppressors know how to clean up. She suggests that even those who create chaos or enact injustice possess a deeply ingrained instinct to cover their tracks or sweep up their messes. It's an innate knowledge of restoration, even if, they're just using it for self-preservation. She then shifts from the individual oppressor to the sheer power of the collective. Exodus leaves no one. Even crowd know how to journey. When you think of a massive exodus, the ultimate goal is total deliverance. Literally, nobody gets left behind. But how does a massive, potentially chaotic group actually pull that off? Because, as she observes, a crowd naturally possesses a collective, unifying intuition. When people come together with a shared destination, they just intuitively know how to move as one, how to journey together safely. And that brings us to her final summarizing stanza. Truth leaves no gap. Even Banner know how to speak. This right here is the ultimate pinnacle of her argument. Absolute truth is completely airtight. There are no missing pieces, no gaps, and no loopholes. And just as a physical banner waving in the wind doesn't need a voice to declare its allegiance, it inherently knows how to silently yet powerfully proclaim its message to the entire world. Truth, simply put, speaks for itself. Let's look at the actual skeleton of this remarkable poem for a second. Even blank know how to blank. She uses this exact structural repetition throughout the entire piece. Even parrots know how to be silent. Even concrete know how to set. This rhythmic, almost hypnotic cadence, it isn't just for poetic flair. It is a highly effective, totally calculated tool that successfully drives home her overarching theme. By repeating this formula over and over, she trains our brains to recognize that universal, innate knowledge is quite literally everywhere we look. It's totally inescapable. Which brings us to a massively profound takeaway from Oluyomi Oladevitt's work. Through this explainer, we've seen how she shows us that the wind, the concrete, the massive crowds, and the children all tap into their fundamental purpose without a second of hesitation. So the big question we really must ask ourselves today is this: what innate knowledge are you ignoring in your own pursuit of truth and prudence? What deep, built-in instinct do you already possess that you just need to finally listen to? I want you to really think about that as you go through the rest of your day. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating framework with me, and hey, keep seeking that clarity.